Your femoral artery is physically narrowing right now. Even with a rigorous morning workout and a perfect diet, the act of sitting causes the cells lining your arteries to stop producing the molecules that keep them open. 12 years of data following 17,000 adults reveals that sitting for more than 6 hours a day carries a mortality risk comparable to smoking. This risk remains significant even for those who meet all daily exercise recommendations. Cardiovascular exercise operates on a long-term timeline, building heart capacity over weeks and months. The vascular damage from sitting is acute, with measurable arterial suppression occurring in under 60 minutes. Because these two processes operate on different physiological pathways, a morning run cannot offset the afternoon damage. Sitting acts as an independent biological threat that bypasses the protective adaptations of a workout. Ultrasound tracking shows that the destruction begins early. Within the first 45 minutes of continuous stillness, the femoral artery loses significant capacity to dilate. The body's protective mechanisms reset the moment you sit. A person who trains at 7 a.m. but sits continuously at 2 p.m. is effectively operating with suppressed nitric oxide for the remainder of the day. Each uninterrupted 45-minute block creates a fresh window of endothelial suppression. Exercise performed at a different time of day does not fix the specific vascular constriction occurring during these sessions. Clinical outcomes suggest that the cumulative number of these 45-minute interruptions is a primary factor in determining daily vascular function and long-term risk. The human body functions as a mechanical engine. To maintain its vascular and metabolic health, it requires two specific physical inputs: friction and contraction. Friction is the primary signal for the endothelium, the single layer of cells coating your entire vascular system. This organ monitors blood flow to decide whether your arteries stay open or become inflamed. Fast-moving blood creates shear stress. Friction deforms the endothelial cells, activating enzymes that produce nitric oxide, keeping the artery open. But when you sit, blood flow drops, friction disappears, nitric oxide falls, and the artery constricts, losing half its capacity. Atherosclerosis begins exactly with this mechanical failure. Without the shear stress of flowing blood, the endothelium switches to a pro-inflammatory state that allows plaque to form in the artery walls. The second input, mechanical contraction, controls the enzymes that clear fat and sugar from your blood. These clearance pathways are anchored to muscle tissue and only activate when those muscles bear weight. This chart shows the activity of lipoprotein lipase, the enzyme that breaks down fats for fuel. When muscles go slack during sitting, this activity drops by 90% within hours, causing triglycerides to accumulate in the blood. Contraction also powers the calf muscle pump. Often called the second heart, this system uses the leg muscles to compress veins and push blood back up toward the chest against gravity. Sitting deactivates this pump. Blood pools in the lower legs, increasing venous pressure from 25 to 90 millimeters of mercury. This pressure forces fluid into the tissue, causing swelling and triggering inflammatory signals in the vein walls. The act of sitting down effectively paralyzes these hydraulic and metabolic systems by removing the physical force they require to stay active. Protecting your vascular system does not require the elimination of sitting, it requires the systematic interruption of stillness. The operational specification for a human body is 45 minutes of sitting for every 5 minutes of standing or walking. Standing up restarts the calf pump. This mechanical load immediately begins pushing pooled blood upward and normalizing the venous pressure in your lower legs. A 5-minute walk restores the blood velocity needed for shear stress. This reactivates nitric oxide production and the contraction-dependent enzymes responsible for clearing blood sugar and fat. This movement acts as a mandatory maintenance input. Without it, the vascular hardware cannot remain in its protective anti-inflammatory state. To prevent movement from becoming a stressor, the body requires adequate fuel. Attempting these interruptions while metabolically depleted, with low liver glycogen and elevated cortisol, can trigger a stress response. Consuming 4 ounces of orange juice during the break provides the rapidly available glucose and fructose needed to support the metabolic rate and helps suppress stress hormones during movement. The potassium and vitamin C in the juice provide direct support for the endothelium, aiding the chemical synthesis of nitric oxide that the movement itself initiates. Over a 10-year period, the internal biology of these two patterns differs significantly. The continuous sitter spends thousands of hours with suppressed endothelial function and elevated triglycerides. The interval sitter uses 45-minute blocks to ensure these systems are maintained. Adhering to the 45-minute clock preserves the protective phenotype of the endothelium and keeps metabolic clearance active. This protocol ensures that sitting remains a productive tool rather than a source of vascular injury.